Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Hello. Here we are. Some of you have some nice looking studios. I wish I had a nice big studio. Someday. Nice. I'm so jealous of some of my teachers. I saw their studios. I'm just like, wow, amazing. But studio space is a lot of money nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
At least in LA. I talked to one of my students remembers the 70s, and he said, yeah, he goes, back then studio space was really cheap, and artists could like move into the industrial area of LA and get space for no big deal. Oh well. He said that all changed when the yuppies moved in and made it stylish.
There used to be space in Old Town Pasadena way back in the day.
Well, I remember Old Town in the 80s when it was kind of run down, and then toward the end. Yeah, and you're right. A lot of artists had studios down there. Bunko had a studio down there. Yeah, I liked it kind of like that. Oh well. Let's see now. I don't know why my camera keeps getting out of focus here.
We furnished our home, with stuff from all the thrift stores there, and I bought all my clothes there.
Oh wow!
Really, when it was old and run down, I loved it.
I know, huh? Oh,
We've been in our house since 1971, so
yeah.
We've seen a lot of changes in Old Town.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay. Where are we at? 9:32. No, so I guess Our Lady is Marie Antoinette or something?
Yes.
Right.
Kind of.
She's Sarah. Sarah's she's like known as the dancer model, but I didn't know she did these. I was like, hey, that looks interesting. I mostly chose this because the lighting is so nice. Nice pose, nice lighting. It's hard to find that kind of pose unless it's done specifically for artists to paint. Because photographers don't take photographs that an artist would want to paint from usually. They have their photographers go for really different things. Like we're looking for shadow shapes to describe the form. And
I'm taking some pictures off the TV sometimes.
Sometimes they can be good, huh?
Yeah, really incredible lighting.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay.
That's an 1840s corset, by the way.
Are you a costume designer?
Yes, right. It's Ellen Rob.
Oh, is that you? Oh, okay. Huh?
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Oh, you're gonna love this one.
I did. I was
like, oh, hey, I didn't think about that. Hey,
this is right up my alley.
That's true. Yeah, definitely. Wow.
Is it original?
No,
I'm sorry.
no, it's not original.
I didn't think so, but I thought I'd ask.
But it's a really nice
thing.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Production?
Recreation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the pattern is very accurate. I can tell by how it's put together. But fabric wouldn't last from the 1740s. It'd be completely rotted. So.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
She doesn't have the. What is that? That makeup with lead in it? That white stuff they put on their face?
Yeah, thankfully she's not wearing that. Yeah.
Didn't that make their skin turn really bad too? On top of killing them early?
Basically killed them. Yes.
I mean,
Queen Elizabeth is very famous for it. All her portraits, she has that lead paint on.
Oof.
But she lived a long time anyway. But her skin was a wreck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rob, is it her? What's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why it's beautiful. I mean,
Yeah, she's a great model.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, I'm going to let's turn off all our cameras and then let's mute ourselves too. And of course, if you have a question, just ask. Doesn't mean I'll answer though. No, I'm just joking. Oh, costs extra for the answer. I gotta get my drum roll out here. There we go. Okay. Enough childish. I want to zoom in on this. We'll do a value study first here. Oh, I gotta really zoom in. There we go. Can I zoom in more? Sure. Okay. So I just kind of sketch out what I want my composition to be. I'm not sure. Just kind of scribble. It's the best thing, Scribbling's great. So let's just see where we end up. I think I may have to extend things a little bit, but I just start off sort of like this, and okay, we got this. Let's just start off with an outline. An outline can be really a great way to just place things. So we're not getting into all that detail and then finding out, I got to take it all out and do it all over. So something like that. See, now I know that, okay, maybe I want, let's see, if her shoulder comes to here, and it's kind of cropped into it. I think I'll just crop into it too. Adding somebody's shoulder on there and just trying to fake that, trying to make it up, can be a big problem. You better know your anatomy and everything when you do it. So I could do that. Whoops, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Get that back into the thing there. There we go. So I could do that. I could throw her shoulder in there. Actually, that's not bad. I like the sleeves. The interesting sleeves. So let's see. I think we could probably get away with this. Leaving this shoulder in there. And here I just told you I wouldn't normally do that. Or the question is, do we like that composition, or do we want to kind of crop in on the sides more? I mean, you could even crop the hair out, but I kind of like the hair. It's kind of groovy. All right. So let's just say we've got this. And we've got this. So where do I like that? Sometimes, I'll get pieces of paper and put it around it just to see where I like things. Do I like it more cropped in, like the photo is, or do I want it out more? Those are questions you wanna ask and figure out now. I think that is not bad. That's not bad. I don't know. I'll struggle over them anyway. See, now that I have this, maybe I'll crop her up here a little bit more. Yeah. It's a pretty long vertical. fine. We can come down way down on that hair. Look at that hair. Whew. That's wild. And for her face, in this case, why don't we just do something like this? I want you to think about like a mask. Just throw it in like that. Because we're really not thinking about we're not thinking about proportions and all that right now. So if I have maybe the neck comes to there, and that would make this stuff come out to there, so that means I made her shoulder out too wide. Okay, fine. Still doesn't matter that much. Yeah. Good enough. And that's enough drawing, really. If you want to, you could just maybe indicate a couple little shadow shapes. You got this triangle on her face right there, over her eye. A little bit of shadow right there. That's enough for a value study. She's got a lot more stuff over there. Okay, so for the value study, if you have black, go ahead and use that. We could do it all in Prussian blue if you like. But if you want to make a black, just take your Prussian blue and add cad red to it. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And pretty good is all I'm looking for. So you ever notice this whole piece, really not any big heavy darks in this. It's mostly in the face. So it's a pretty light palette. And you know, the time is of Rococo. Or Rococo. I don't know how to say it. Is it Rococo or is it Rococo? I don't know. I've heard it said so many different ways. But see, everything's really light. The whole palette is light. All the values are very, very ethereal. Look at the paintings from the time. Look at Watteau, Fragonard, Boucher, and those are just the French ones. There's all kinds of. We had, you know, it was a worldwide movement, just like so many movements are. Even Impressionism is a big worldwide movement. So Rococo comes right after Baroque. And Baroque is a heavy, you look at the palette of the Baroque artists, you know, Rembrandt, right? Or it's a dark, dramatic, and you know, it sort of signifies the time too. So it's interesting to look at it in a historical standpoint. The you know, the Rococo is this brief period of not very much war. People are coming home. It's a time to celebrate. It's a little lighter, and people are, you know. All right. So let's start off with some very light background. Very light. I'm just going to use. Whoops! Got this wire in my way. Wires and wires and wires. Okay. So, and boy, were they fond of the color like a blue-green. You see it in all these, I don't know what it was about that color. They did a thing and they had a little show at the Norton Simon about why they used that color so much. Did anybody check out that show? It was about 2 or 3 years ago. But anyway, it had something to do with they used to have to use this blue from like Afghanistan, from the, I don't know the name of that rock, but very expensive. And so this new blue came out, and so it just became the vogue. It's sort of this almost a blue-green, very much like our Prussian blue, if you thin it out a lot.
I think it was lapis.
Lapis, there you go. That's it. Thank you. Very good.
Well, I've told you about it before. I've got this great book called Color.
Yeah.
And it tells you the origins of all the colors. It's fabulous.
It's just called Color?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
A book called, well, I'll write it down there. Color.
I don't know if you can see it.
By blah, blah, blah.
It's Color by Victoria Finlay. Put it in the chat.
Victoria what?
Finlay. Finlay.
Okay. Yeah.
Fabulous book.
Excellent. Thank you. Wow. I've got my Wilcox color guide that does something similar, but I don't think it's actually as detailed as the one that you're talking about. Okay. So there. And now let's go for a little bit darker value on the, did you say corset? We'll just call it a...
Yes, corset.
Okay. So you see, I'm just covering my big masses first. And let's just put some value on her hair. The hair is going to be pretty light, but darker than the background. So yeah, I'm just putting colors in the shadow side. You notice it's got all this light over here and all this shadow over here. So let's just put stuff on the shadow side. And it does separate from the background a little bit, so some highlighty things back there. A couple little darky things. Some darks in the edges, but there's some little highlighty things in there, so that's good. Probably nothing that dark. And that kind of frames things. I do the same thing with the arms. See, we get this pretty dark shadow in here. Just think of it like a big cylinder. So even all this drapery, just think of it like a cylinder. So it has a shadow side and a light side. We'll come and pop a little dark in there in a minute. Now, if you can think of her whole body as being a big cylinder too, like the rib cage, or if you can think of the rib cage as kind of a big cylinder too, then the light mostly hits on this side, and you see as it turns over to this side, it kind of goes into shadow. See over here. And then it casts a little bit of a shadow onto her drapery over there. So I'm just going to throw in some of that shadow in there and take it all the way onto her dress and over her shoulder here a little bit. Like that. Don't worry about any darks right now. Let's go for that shadow on her face. So then, if you could think of the face as just a big egg. Just a big egg, you know, with a wedge coming out of it for the nose, like, right, you know. So, that's why I just drew it like this. So we could just see it nice and simple. So everything on this side is going to be in shadow. And it's a pretty dark, you know, it's as dark as the one on the clothes here. Let's just put that down there under the chin a little bit. Cast the shadow onto the neck. Just group it like that. Come on over. And notice the wedge of the nose casts a shadow onto the face, and that's what gives you this sort of little triangular shape here on the cheek. at this scale, in a value study, don't worry about getting it perfect or anything. You get a little bit of something under the bottom lip there. That's good. Maybe a touch of something in the eye. Not much. Maybe a little eyebrow. You know, whatever. We've got these pearls. Those are interesting. That really comes back here further, doesn't it? Alright. And then the hair casts a bit of a shadow onto the body. Notice how the shadow on the hair itself is much lighter than the shadow on the body. Same down here. Hope I can hear somebody's mic. And let's make sure our mics and our videos are off. I see some videos on. Mics and videos. Thank you. Okay. Now, let's go around hitting the little pockets. I call them pockets. Pockets of dark. So there's like one right there. See it? Probably darker than that. Maybe a little touch. Maybe something in here. Something coming down the middle. Just find them all and just zap them. Or smack them. And one way back here in the hair. Just come around, smacking those little darks. Something back there in the pearls. And I don't think of this dark around the eye as any different than any other dark. I just treat them all, I kind of treat them all the same. And we got a little bit of something, in the shadow gets pretty dark right along. The cast shadow on the face does. And it just sort of dissipates. It's kind of dark in the lips. And then we got Mr. Butterfly here, or Madame Butterfly, shall we say? Madame, Mademoiselle. Okay. Something in there, something over here. And there's all kinds of sub-values. That's what I call a sub-value. I mean, we could put the little things in the neck, if, you know. But we got a pretty good, what I like about this is that it's still it's pretty light, delicate. So this would be wonderful. Especially with a little splash of pink in there and red. With all that blue. Very Rococo. What a great reason, if you don't know much about Rococo, what a great reason after doing a painting like this. I mean, you could just go to the Norton Simon right here in town, or, you know, you don't have to go all the way downtown. You got Norton Simon's a world class. It's small, but it's high quality. And we've got, but what a great reason just to get involved in one little era. I think people kind of freak on me when I go to the museum because I pass up, you know, most people that go to the museum and they start at one place and they just go around the whole museum, like in a line. I just bypass everybody and I'm walking through the museum and people kind of stare at me, I notice. Because I'm very directed, and then I'll go to one place and I study that era, sometimes only a couple of paintings, and then I leave because I just get oversaturated with too many paintings. So try it sometime. Try walking through the museum, kind of directed, and watch all the people go, whoa, what's up with that person? I noticed they started doing that after a while. Okay, let's move on to... Oh boy, that's way up there, isn't it? Oh. Same deal. Oh, yeah, I put that big hair pretty high up there. I'm thinking that's about there. Let's see. Just the mask of the face. Don't need a whole lot of information in there. There's the pit of the neck, so that always helps me. And I just sort of draw an imaginary line from the chin to that little pit right in between the two big tendons of the neck. Right. And then we've got the corset there. Wait, there's the corset, so her shoulder's going to come up to there. You don't have to get that exactly right, but you know, sometimes it's nice to add all that shoulder on her, made her look like a football player. Sorry, Marie.
What are we doing with this sketch for? The second sketch?
Color.
Oh, color.
Color comp, yeah. Just a quick color comp. This is a little smaller. I really cropped into the other one better. Oh, that's what I did. I'm sorry. Yeah. There we go. And let's start off. I do like this sort of yellowy background because what we're going to get here is a very subtle yellow, and on her skin a very subtle red, and on the clothes a very subtle blue. So we got the red, yellow, and blue in a very subtle manner. But what that'll do is give us. Sorry about this. Let me arrange this on there properly. What that'll do is give us a whole nice big arrangement of colors, because really those are the three primaries. Everything else is just a variation of that. So let's go for that yellow background. I know you're going, how does he get yellow out of that, right? Just take red, yellow, and blue, mix them together. So that's cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. And then, so I'm in the green family right now, and I'm thinking it's more of a warmer gray, because it's kind of a yellowish gray. And then I'm just adding more yellow to it, more yellow and red. That's getting there. So basically make orange out of your yellow and red, and then add a little blue in it. How's that? There we go. We're getting there now. A little blue, a little more yellow. Yeah, that's about it. That's pretty close. Notice it does go from something a little bit darker on this side to something a little lighter on this side. You see the transition? A little bit of a value value thing there. Not that you have to copy it exactly. You can take it in your own way, but we do use the darker side to set off the lights in the hair, and the lighter side to set off the shadows over here. So it's intentional that it's subtle, but you can tell the photographer knew what they were doing. These art center photographers are usually probably one of the teachers that was given a little job to do for the school. All right. Okay, so let's go into the blue family in here. You know what? Actually, scratch that. Since we're in the yellow family already, and that the hair is already in the yellow family, let's just start taking a little bit of that color, that yellow color, into the hair. I'm just going to go pretty much right over that little butterfly. And then notice how the hair gets blue on this side. They threw a blue light into the shadow over here. So what I'm going to do is just paint the whole thing in yellow first. And then come back with my rag and just tap out a little of that reflected light in the shadow. Forget the blue. I'm not going to hit the blue in there yet. I got a couple of yellowy things. They're very, very light over here. Very light in her hair. We can play with that. Same in the hair down here. Same in the hair down here. Well, I made her hair over here really big. Oops. That should be background. Oh well. And then let's take a little bit of Prussian blue. Very little. Let's just kind of glaze it in there. Very light. Just letting ourselves know that's there. And this would be pretty close to our color choice. Even though you're more than welcome to make to use different colors if you see fit. Now I'm going to use a little Prussian blue in her corset there. Just started off with the Prussian blue. There's little warms and cools in there too, so feel free to hit a few of those. Little blue flowers and things like that on there. You notice I don't go too dark with it because we'll hit the shadows in later. And then let's go with her skin color, which is just, again, I take the red, yellow, and blue, the same red, yellow, and blue, cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue, mix them dominate it with red, so you get a red that's not pure red, you know, it's more of a neutral red. And let's just put that over her skin first, really light. Really light. Forget about highlights. We'll do all that later. See, just really light. There's a little bit on her shoulders. And we'll let that dry up before we hit any shadows on it. While that's happening, we do have the color of her sleeves, which are, well, they're not as yellow as her hair, and they're not as red as her skin. and they're light. So I'm going to red, yellow, and blue again. Let's see. Oh, that's a little pink. Because I can see her flesh right through it. It's illuminating. The light's actually coming through it. And so I can see a little bit of that pink in there. So maybe including a little bit of that would be a good thing. I can definitely see some over here too. So maybe just tag a little bit of skin color in there. And that's all. That's the only reason we do these right now. We're just doing these so we can notice a few things. Okay. Let's see. Now let's go back up to her face. Should be dry. Mine's pretty much dry now. And I'm going to take that same red, yellow, and blue. Cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. And add more blue to it. More blue and red because she's a bit violet, and then she has this bluish light in there. So, and I'm just going to go ahead and take that color and value right over her face. We've got the and just grouping all that. Under the chin. Just take it and group it all back there. And then what happens is it gets lighter over here. So I'm just going to take while it's wet, see how I did that? Just with a dry brush, just kind of took it up a little bit. And basically you're using your brush as a sponge. And I could do it on here on her nose too. Because remember, those two planes are facing to the right. So any of the planes that are facing to the right are going to catch this blue light being projected. So that's why it's hitting the hair. Because the hair is so light, it actually really shows you the color of that blue. We can take some of that same color we used in the hair, which is just Prussian blue, and throw that into the shadow. Very light. You're just giving a little taste of something cool in there. You know what I didn't do here is on this shadow color on the face, I should have brought it here on the shoulder too. Didn't think about that. Of course, that actually casts a little bit of a shadow over there. And you can see her shoulder actually starts to catch some of that blue color too. So we can maybe hit a little bit of that in there later. There's a shadow on her. Right under the hair right there, and then a little bit of shadow in there. Same color. Same color as the shadow on the face. A little in there, I guess. I guess I'll throw this shadow, this eye in shadow. Maybe something in there too. And let's go for something a little bit darker in the flesh. And since we got this color on our brush already, again it's cad red, cad yellow, and ultramarine blue. And then, let's hit these darks. And see that dark back there? Oh, here, let me, like that. That's just glary right now. There's something dark in this area. Definitely something dark in her eyes. Not too much, but I'll just put it like that for now. Under the pearls, and the lips, back of the hair, some down there, maybe something under the hair right there. Just little darks. You know, actually the butterfly is not much of a different color. There's some light hitting the side. Okay. If you have a pink, go ahead and use it. But if you don't have a pink, should be a good, something pretty close out of your magenta. That's just magenta. I'll go ahead and throw a splash of that on her lips too. Just a color note. That's all it is. And we put some shadows on the corset. You know, since we have blue being projected into the shadow and it's already a similar color to the corset, let's come in with some just Prussian. It doesn't need to be any complex color. So if you want it grayer than this color, just add a little bit of that cad red like we did at the beginning. See? Right, that'll gray it. Something down the center here. A few little notes in there. Don't worry about blending and all that. It's not the time for that. It's just the time for note-taking. This will give you direction. You know, if you do this in your own pieces, it didn't take that long. We're almost done. And it really gives you focus. That's the reason. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit myself a nice dark in here. That's maybe a little too dark. And I just used the red, yellow, and blue, and I put a little bit more blue in it. I'm going to use the same color in some of these little shadows over here. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to that and thin out my color and do some of the shadows in the hair a little bit more. So I'm getting it a bit on the yellow side on here. And there. Right up next to her face. A little bit darker, a little bit yellower. That's a little too dark. Mostly we're interested in the color. There we go. And there she is. She got a little sloppy with her lipstick. In mine. But that is not the point, right? When you're doing these things, it's not about being a perfectionist. There's a little bit of a dark right there. Kind of coming down her face. It's about, and all I did was I had this color already there. So I just took the dark color we used in the face and I put it down here. It is fairly dark in that area. So we'll have to make note of that. And that's all we're doing. Just notes. That's all these are. Shall we? Oh, did anyone want to take photos? Let me move this. I'll zoom out on it. If you do, I'll zoom out for you.
Yes, thanks.
Let me see if I can get them both in there. Whoa. You want me to turn it sideways? You can always just... Oh yeah, Central Perk. See that? Central Perk? My daughter's obsessed with Friends. So this, I got some good darks in here. Maybe they're going to dry lighter. I could have popped some better darks in my value study. Wow. I can't help it. Pop, pop. Never mind. All right. So by doing the value study, that helped me with the drawing and the painting of the color study, and then hopefully the color study helps you with this. There we go. And let me see how it looks on. Let me see what you guys are seeing now. Yeah, it's because I'm doing a vertical, I have to shoot it out a little bit more than usual. Usually I zoom in a little bit more because I'm doing a horizontal and some of it gets behind there, so it's okay. So get out your watercolor paper and hopefully you're ready to go. Now I know that in some of my other classes people are wanting to work on different papers. And if you want to work on a different paper, that's great. If you all want me to work on a different paper, and let's say everybody wants to do hot press or something, you know, just remember if you're not used to it, it's going to throw you a little bit. You might like it though. You know, a lot of people just take to a different paper, like the rough paper. So just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just stick to this cold press, which I think is great. Regular cold press arches, fine. Okay, let's just start here. Start with the hair. Start hair with the hair. All right, we got the pink thing there. Some hair there. Maybe your chin's about there. I'll draw a little darker. And I'm not exactly sure if I'm right or not, so this is just my first stab at it. Sometimes I nail it on the first try, but that's my little curly cue. And I'm going to pull her head. So there's like the top of her forehead. You know, what you can do is just group the whole thing into like a big egg. Like that first. Knowing that I'm going to erase it. So I don't want to draw too dark on that right now because it might not erase very well. And then I'm left with this big gouge in my paper. So there's my pit of my neck area. And just looking, it looks a little, let's see, let me get her jaw in here. So there's her chin, jaw. There's sort of the shape of her head. Maybe, see, I was way off. I put that curl way up there. The curl should be right here. So there's my egg shape. If I just complete the whole thing, which is mostly covered with hair. See, that would be my egg shape. So, but before I get into, you know, you might want to get right into those eyes. Let's just set the, I call it setting the page. I don't know where I heard that before, but I must have heard it somewhere. Sometimes I wonder if I came up with these sayings. Like, smack it! Or did I just hear that somewhere? Probably heard it somewhere. I'm not that creative. Okay, so a couple of curls there. Here's her chin. So we got this big curly whirly coming out of there. And I made her head a little large, and I think that's just fine. I mean, I'm not going to get as much of her bust and torso in there, but that's fine. If that weren't fine, then I would just erase the whole thing. Start all over. So here's one thing. Once you have that pit of the neck, you can zoom it up, see the bone that kind of comes off there. It's mostly covered with hair. You got a clavicle bone right there on both sides. And that'll help you to place generally where the shoulder is. And sometimes you can be way off with the shoulders. So that's one way I find it. There's that clavicle bone, and so I know the shoulder relative to the chin should be about there. And then I can just, without putting any sort of detail in it or whatever, I can just say, okay, well, we got that. We got the corset. I don't want her shoulder to be too wide. Maybe I made her curl a little large, because my eyes are telling me that her shoulder should be there. Tell you what, before I put any of that other stuff in there, I'm gonna do what I call the graphic approach. You see how I made her really kind of flat? Because I'm shooting through all the stuff. Except sometimes I use more of a vulgar term than stuff. Shoot through the junk. We'll call it junk. Okay. And we got the shoulder over here coming off and being cropped over there. We've got right. It's this curl. The curl is throwing me. Okay. Yeah, I think I could make her shoulder a little bit bigger. But what I mean by the graphic approach is, you see how big I have these big flat shapes? So I'll just kind of like go chink, chink, put this thing over here. And it just looks like I cut it out of paper. Just the big silhouettes can just really, really help. You know, the more you confuse it with this stuff, you know, the more of that stuff in there, the more it's difficult to see through it into the generalities. Because that's really what we care about, is the generalities. So there's the inside of her. It's pretty low. And this side comes back over here. Really sweep that around her shoulder there. Comes down there. And down. So of course that comes over here. Yeah, then we get just round that shoulder off. Kind of gave her a big shoulder right there, because I was trying to take it off the page. Technically, I think theirs is cropped in a little bit more in there. Who cares, right? We'll probably just lose it into a wash. A beautiful watercolor wash. You know, the kind of thing that takes care of all of our little problems. Just lose it into a wash. watercolor knows what to do with it. Alright, so I'm just blocking out a couple of little interesting shapes of shadow. And yeah, that's all I'm doing. Got this one, came into there. Alright. And so we'll bring the curl way down to about there. And if you can think of the curl, instead of every little strand of hair on there, think of the curl as just a big cylinder. Just a big cylinder, that's all. So, just like that, really flat. It'll just help you so much. And we could paint it just like a cylinder too. And then later on, you put a couple of little strokes of a little bit of detail on there, and that's all you need. You know? Okay. Now with that, a little split there, a little button. With that, oops. You see, now that I've established all that, let's now get into the face. Sometimes I wish I could stand up and just look at this thing from far away. Oh, hold on a second. I'll be back in a second. It's just getting so hot in here. I stopped for a second and took a breather and I said, whoa. I'm feeling the summer coming on now. I took a walk yesterday in like at 2 o'clock. Oh my gosh. It is definitely getting hot. Okay, so let's draw a line approximately. Just remember her head probably comes up a little higher than that. You know, in there. So approximately in the center. Her eyes are almost directly straight across. If anything, maybe this left eye is up a little bit higher. It's not much. And then remember our brow line. Okay, and then from the bottom of the chin to here, estimate about where the bottom of the nose will be. Okay, and then from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, where's the bottom of the mouth? Halfway in between. And she doesn't have a big chin either. So, somewhere in there. It'll look low. And that's because her lips are sitting up here, right? Way up above. You want it to look low. Because that's the bottom of her lip, not the middle of her lips. And that gives us what? We got this, and then that should be plenty of room for a nice shadow. She's got kind of a pointy chin. That's because we're going to bring the face in a little bit That'll give her a little bit of a point. Now from here, if our chin's about there, remember that side of the face, right? You can really see it here, how the shadow explains the side of the face there. We can take that all the way back to the ear if we like. And again, I'll lighten that up because really it's only there just to acknowledge that that's where the side of the face starts. I mean, technically there's no real edge there or anything. And you up here where the corner of our eye socket is, you could pull that up there too and just kind of go like that if you like. And I just put those in there because it tells me where the front of the face is and where the side is. That's the only reason. So a lot of people don't even put them in. It works for me. So I want to tell you all my secrets. Okay. So I'm just going to throw her nose in like the letter L. See it? Here, I'll zoom in on this. Why not? See, now when I teach live, I can never do this.
Rob, you're not recording.
Oh, I'm not recording, am I? Jeez. What happened? You know what? I know what happened. I am recording on another thing. It's very high res though. Let me see. I'm sorry about that, guys. Sheesh.
Can we get the one that's high res?
I will make that available to you. You'll have to get it on YouTube. I'll just put it on YouTube and give you guys a link because it's going to be really big.
Sometimes Henry records it.
Henry's not in here though. I don't think.
I don't think we can download it though.
No, you won't be able to download it, but it'll just be up there anytime you want to see it on YouTube. I'll give you the link.
That'd be great, Rob.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's nice to know it's on YouTube, I think. That way I don't have to download it to my cloud or upload it to my cloud.
Recording in progress.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It takes, you don't have to store it on yours. I could just give you the link. In fact, I've been thinking about just doing that. Who needs the recording from Zoom? It's a lot more effort on my part, but then I get a really good recording out of it. The recordings I get out of Zoom I can't really use. But I was thinking today with this one, maybe I'd try recording it. I don't record all of them. So,
I like YouTube because you could put it on the big TV. You can put it on your big screen.
Yeah, there you go. I never thought about that.
It's great.
Yeah. And we don't have to panic about downloading it quickly and so forth. It helps.
Okay, so I'm just putting a line right here where the pearls are. I'm sorry, what was that? Excuse me? Did I interrupt somebody? Sorry. Okay. I've got these two lines right here where I'm going to put the pearls. Just light lines. And that just helps. Now I can see that, well, okay, maybe my forehead was a little too high, so I'll bring the forehead down. There's always going to be something. And then, okay, so we've got that to there. And then let's just bring that right into, see how I kind of came in a little bit? Because when you're looking at, this is a 3/4 view of the face, so you're seeing less of this eye and a lot more of this eye. So this one gets a little bit cut off, and that's why you see indent right here, and then come out for the cheekbone. And then, like I said earlier, she really comes in here like that. And then points down. Maybe a little bit pointier. Is that it? I mean, her nose comes way closer to the side of the face. So what am I going to do about that? Well, one thing is, if you look at the top of her nose, there's a thickness to it, right? It's not just one big line. The thickness of it kind of goes... So I could have played it on this side, like that. Or... because I just took sort of a stab at it, you know. And so I could move the whole thing over, or watch. I just take this part over here like this, add that to it. Now it's very close to the side here. So I added the thickness of the bridge of the nose, the top of the bridge of the nose there. And that's... and maybe that right there signifies where the sort of nostril wing of the nostril is. Could be a little bit larger than that. So then this part comes up and over. Here's the eye socket for here. It just kind of comes up. There's your line. And then it just starts to come down around there. And I like to place those before, in fact I think, yeah, I have the eye socket coming all the way here, yeah. Just remember, you see how much more eye socket you get on this side? Way over here, and you only get this much over here. Because this is getting cut off. So some people even throw on a big, like a almost like sunglasses in there, just to tell them where that socket is. You can feel the lines going around that, right? So that's just the shape of her eye socket and the way the bones and the muscles, whatever, flow within them. So before I get into any detail on that, let's place the diamond shape of the lips. So if the middle of her lip is there, try to find out where the middle is. It's like right under the nostril around there. Then I throw a big shape like this. Now look how much from the center. I only have that much lip on that side, but look how much lip I have on this side. So there's the center of my diamond. See? So in other words, you get 3/4 over here and about 1/4 over there. Something like that. So that's why, you know, if you've drawn lips and you're like, what's wrong with them? That's almost always what it is. You got to know where to split it. Okay, so then let's give ourselves the M shape. Round it off. Round that off. And then the bottom, hers just loops. Like that. And then we get the very subtle. Now we're looking. The camera's actually above her eyes a little bit. It's not directly. So you're almost looking down on her lips a touch. So you really don't get the M shape in the middle. Let's try to get that right. Make sure we're muted, okay, everyone? Somebody's not muted. There we go. Thank you. So something like that. That was right the first time. All right. Now before I draw the eyes, let's draw the shadow shapes, and they'll help you to place the eye. So watch. We know the shadow shape on our nose starts about there, but look at the distance from here all the way to the eye. The eye is way back there. You wouldn't believe it. So this shadow comes all the way to there. This is all just shadow in here. Alright, so we got that. And then from the nose, this one comes down the face, around the cheekbone, around the cheek, and just into the shadow over here, over there. And this one from the nose, might as well put this in. This one just kind of goes up and around this, and then just sort of fades into shadow right around there. And golly jeepers, since we're at it, let's just cast a shadow from the lips onto the chin, around the chin, and down below. Nice simple shape. Okay. There is a little bit of a shadow from the pearls right here. Oh, that's in shadow. Put the pearls in there in a little bit. And and this shadow, it comes around her eye, into the crease of her eye right there. Goes around her eye like this, into her top lid, right there. Maybe there's more distance between those two, huh? Wow. So maybe I could pull the lid down here a little bit further. I mean, that's only like a pencil width, but at this scale, it kind of makes a difference. All right. Then we have the bottom lid. And it casts a shadow up and around that cheekbone. And really gives you that interesting shape. And then what you might want to do is just check the shape. Look at this void, which will symbolize where the light is, and then just look up at your picture. Is it pretty good? Do you like it? That's what matters. Now in here, we got an eye sitting in there. There's on the inside of our eyelid here, there's quite a shadow. I'll just make a notice of that. That's enough drawing, I think. I don't want to draw too much more. From here, I just, there's a lot of different ways to go about this. I mean, I know sometimes I place the ball of the eye, but just think, okay, if this is the eyebrow, then it's about that far down to the crease in the eyelid. And then maybe it's about that far down to the eyelashes. And see how much more of the eye you see on this side and less on this side? Because this one's more foreshortened. And so we get a little bit of eyelid on the bottom, and I usually just finish the rest off with a watercolor. So it looks to me like maybe my chin's a little large, so what I'll do is I'll just play, I go around and I check my little forms. There. Give her a little chin lift. I could pull her in here a little bit more. Things like that. Maybe her neck actually is there. And if you want to put some of those pearls in, I mean, I'm not going to spend all day doing pearls, that's for sure, but a couple of these. And then you notice as the pearls go up and around her face where they foreshorten, you see how these overlap each other? Here they don't overlap. But there, they'll begin to overlap each other, like on the third one here. So this one, and then you get some overlapping. And that's what makes them feel like they're going around. Maybe up a little higher, and so on. See, that's what gives you the foreshortening, the overlapping. So we'll do it again. These ones over here are sort of beside each other. Can you believe the artists think of stuff like this? It's just observation, that's all it is. And then they're almost overlapping, and more, etc., etc. And I could, there's definitely some hair over there. Alright, fun stuff. For eyes here, this should be coming down around there. We got a few of those hanging down. Pretty good. And the shadows will make a big difference too. The little shadows underneath them, big difference. You don't put them in, it'll look like they're floating. By the way, we never put the shadow in on our neck. Now I usually, with the shadows on the neck, I usually keep them soft edge. These are already pretty soft edge, so you're okay, but sometimes they're really hard edged. So this one comes down. We have these two big tendons that come down. You can grab them, on the side of your neck. That's called your mastoid. The muscle is the mastoid, and I don't know what the tendon's called.
Rob, can you move her up a little bit so we
Oh,
can
I'm
see
sorry. Yeah. Let me shoot this out now. All right. Yeah, so these two big muscles are called the mastoid muscles. All right, so we here's that little shadow coming around her, and then around that tendon, and then just gets lost into fuzziness. We also have this cast shadow over here, and kind of a very soft edged shadow right there. All right. My little curly Q. All right. Ready to paint? Oh, we didn't throw in the butterfly and everything, did we? Gotta throw in that butterfly. Now we just put it. Just kind of estimate how big you want it. Like if it's about that big, then etc. If you want to, you can even throw a couple of little lines giving you the sort of the direction of the hair. Can kind of help. Well, I think Dolly Parton was going for the whole Marie Antoinette thing. Looks sort of Dolly Parton-ish.
Rob, are there two light sources?
Yes. Yeah, the main light source is here, and then you have this blue light source coming from here. Yeah. So they do that to illuminate the shadows. Oh yeah. Really curly on this side. Okay. Let's get into it. So I'm going to go over the background first. That background beige, red, yellow, and blue. Just make yourself an orange and add blue. It's cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. I'm just going to throw that down first. Very watercolory. Do. Have yourself fun. Now I might get a little bit darker next to her face, or it's mostly actually the face is almost the same value as the background. I'm going to punch a little bit of dark. I'm going to get a little variation in my color. So I think I'm just going to take some of that blue and throw it in there, a little bit here and there, just to set things off a little bit. And I know it gets pretty dark up in here, so it's a bluer version of that color. To get a little activity going back there. And this side I'm going to keep really light. Just keep it on. And feel free to throw any sort of variation you want in there. There's a little touch of magenta in there. See that strong line I put in there? It's kind of, I'm not going to be able to really get rid of that. That's right. Typically when I do these on my own, I'll draw with a lighter touch, or I'll come back and just, you know, lighten this up with this. But it's fine. It'll look good. That's what I keep telling myself. Alright. And now, let's just go for our big forms. Very similar to the way we did this. Okay? So, I think my next biggest form, I think the hair already has a lot of yellow in it, so it's kind of on my, yeah, I see a lot of that in there. And I'm mainly going for the shadow side. There's little worms in there too, gosh. Feel free to hit a couple little worm things in there. And then it gets really kind of cool on this side. So it's possible that some could leak into the background. My attitude is, if it doesn't bother you, it's not going to bother anyone else, really. Right, so all this stuff over here, I'm going to throw in a little touch of Prussian blue into this. So there we go. So it's just the right side is catching that Prussian blue. And then the left side is catching that yellowy sort of color. And you know, there's some pretty strong highlights over there, so if you really want to take them out, you can just hit them like that with a rag. I think that's about right. Same with this, just like these. I got a little bit blue on me. This one's not as blue, and it gets a lot of the warm from her skin here, reflects up into it. So I'm going to throw a little bit more warm up in there. I mean, most of the time I'm more concerned with it looking good than I am with it looking exactly like what I'm painting. There is some orange up in there, isn't there? Wow. Alright, so I'm going to hit that a little bit. Very nice. So now, even though this is all in light over here, there's really, the highlights really stand out. That means that we need to get, with these little halftones in there, we need to get those probably darker than you might think. Basically the same color as this, but a little lighter on this light side. Some cool in there too. I just add a little bit of blue. It's turning some of my reddish things a touch violet, and that's okay with me. There's my pink. Some of the biggest highlights are right in here. dry brushing in the hairs works really well. Helps to fuzz your edges a little bit. So if your brush gets a little bit dry, just keep working with it. That's what I'm doing. I haven't really reloaded my brush. This stuff gets darker. That's the pink. Now this stuff over here gets right under the butterfly, gets a little bit darker. Maybe some color in that too. People are going to say, well, that's some real colorful hair, Rob. I'll just blend that out. Well, I know, but you know what? You'd be surprised how little moves like that will just, when everything dries and it blends out, it'll be fine. That's just the gut telling me I need to wake up that color a little bit. All right. A couple little cool moves in here. That's good. Yeah, dry brushing in the hair really works. So you don't have to get too specific with everything. All right. I want to get this blue going in on her blouse. Oh, that's just Prussian blue. There are some warms in there too, so probably I'm just going to extend that with a little bit of water. And she's got a couple of little warms in there. I'm not going to be too specific about it. Now let's put some let's make a flesh tone. Cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. And then we want to lean on the fact that it's more pink than anything. I mean, it's definitely orange in there, but so then I take the red, yellow, and blue and I add a little bit more red to it. And so you might want to have a, you know what helps? If you just have some old paper, keep your old paper. If I didn't like what I did or whatever, I just keep them for scraps. And then, you can kind of go, okay, what is that going to look like? Is that going to be okay? Especially if I really dilute that out. It's probably going to be more like that. That's not bad. Because it's not too cool and it's not too warm. Because then I'll come up, like right on her cheek right here is probably the warmest in her skin. So I'll use that. Okay, that's a pretty good color. Now there aren't a whole lot of highlights on her. There's some highlight up in here. So here's two ways to do it. You could draw little circles around all your highlights and then avoid those areas, or you got to be quick if you do it this way. Just whoops. You just put a little wash over her forehead, let's say, and then hit it with the rag. It's a little more risky. I just want to let you know I do it that way mostly. I got a little bit red on me. The nice thing about doing it that way, though, is that you don't have to, like, watch. I'll just show you. This is what I usually do. Okay. I'll just go over the whole thing. Don't really want it in her eyes. Maybe the whites of her eyes. Yeah, that's a little. And I just go over the whole thing, but quickly. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, don't do it. That allows me to get the tone right on there without being too picky. Alright, now come back with your, and just pull out those areas. A little highlight. You could even, just remember, you can always scratch them out with a X-Acto knife or hit them with some gouache. You know, if you look at artists from this era too, they use gouache like crazy. No one had invented little rules where that they had to abide by. You know, I'm sure the artists were like, "What? I'm just doing what I want to do." Yeah, the rules, the sort of rules of watercolor, whatever that means, that didn't come until like the 1800s, maybe even later. When you have all these little watercolor societies that come about. Before that, you look at these great watercolorists using white all over. Okay. There's some stuff in there. I should put that in there and then I'll glaze my shadows over it. A little bit. Don't have to, but or look a little more consistent. Did I just paint over my curl? Oh my gosh. What am I doing? Okay. Lovely. It's really light. See? Light. You know, I didn't put anything on her shoulders. What was I thinking? Here. This is a watercolor gray. Look how fast it is. Pew. Done. Love it. It's the fastest medium there is. If done right, by the time they turn on their computers, I'm already, you know, it's a good skill to have, watercolor. Oh yeah, and there's some of that That skin tone coming right through her. There's some in here too. Right through her fabric. I do love costumes and fabrics. And I used to share my studio. I mean, not my studio, but my when I was an art director, I had an office over in Burbank, right by this Disney office, and the costume designer and the sculpting director, we all, it was like, gosh, it was like one happy family. You know, it was short-lived. It was only about a year, but it worked. It was great. I used to just, we were all blown away by each other. It was so cool. Learned a little bit about sculpting. I think I did learn about fabric. Yeah, I did. Okay, I'm going to come in here with some of that, just a little shadow in here. Since it's just white here, I'm just going to hit a little bit of shadow in there. And carry that over to here. And I'll hit the darks in there later. Some nice little, I'll throw a couple little dry brush marks in there. There's some just fabric-y stuff in there. Yes, I did say fabric-y. Alright. I should have put some skin tone over there. Alright. And we got our locals on there, right? Now let's go for some shadows. I mean, this is mostly shadow, but very light shadows. Let's go for a shadow on her face. Cad red, cad yellow. You know what? How about this? How about magenta? Throw a little magenta in there too. That'll cool it off a little bit. Magenta, cad red, and ultramarine blue. So again, you could throw that on there and just look. How's that going to look? In fact, if that's a skin color, you could just put it right there. Okay, I think I made that a little bit pinker, but so we need that contrast. See, I went a little bit warmer with it. You know, it's got a lot of cool in it. Maybe I'll push a little more ultramarine blue in that. Really thin that out. So not quite as, I like that. I like that. Okay. Listen to that little voice inside of you. Alright. And let's just block in shadows. Big and brave. Around here, right, and then this kind of goes up and around there. And see how it all sort of gathers up into one big shape. And back here it does get lighter, so I'm gonna put a quick wash over that and then good. And then we'll throw the ultramarine blue. You know, actually, I'm going to use the Prussian blue in the shadow. It's a little bit greener, isn't it? Is that the right one? Yeah, I'm going to take this off with my rag first, like that. And come back in with the Prussian blue. Yeah, remember it does it on the nose too a little bit. Not quite as extreme, but there's a little bit of reflected light in that nose area. Whoops. Yeah. And then just a little bit of that blue. Just remember that brush will take it off too. I'm just getting all the stuff out on my rag. So it's a dry brush, and then just drinking up the paint. I can take just little touches of that blue, just to cool off that reflected light. That's all. That's all we're doing. These are softer edges, so I'm gonna, on the edges of the shadows here. Yeah, that's a soft edge. I'm just using a damp brush to do that. See, that's the cast shadow edge, it's hard. That's the form shadow edge, it's soft. Softer. I should have brought this over in here more. Sorry, I should have just zoomed in on there for you. Okay. She's got really light eyes. So make yourself up an eye color. Kind of blue. I think her eyes are like a blue-green or something. A little more yellow in there than that. They gotta get darker anyway. That's not bad. And toward the bottom though, they get pretty light. The light comes in them, so I'm just actually taking paint off. A little dark. Okay. got pretty dark eyelashes on the top. So I'm going to use, a dark color of your liking. And probably kind of black. Or Prussian blue and cad red. That's what I'm using. And I'm just going to hit that. And over here. The pupil. You kind of see it over here. That's small. Remember, the white of the eye over here is in shadow. The white of the eye on the right side is just going to be in shadow. You can't avoid that because it's round. So just remember that. Boy, there's a lot. There's a lot in there. Gonna hit some warms in her face. See, watch. See, I hit that? Whoops, a little warmer. So she just needs a little bit of rosy on her cheek there. See? That was a lot. I said a little bit, Rob, not that much. So I added too much, so now I need to subtract. That's the name of the game. And if you'll notice, it does it everywhere. It does it up here on the forehead. And it does it right here on the nose. See? And I can just smooth that off. You can always add a little bit more too. I'm just going to go with like I mixed cad red and magenta together for her lips. Maybe a little more. Yeah, after looking at it, maybe it's more magenta. She does have a nice highlight at the bottom. I think that's one that I'll just... And I certainly could do it, but maybe hit it with a X-Acto knife or something. It's such a... Can I get that with my fingernail? No? Alright. I'm going to come back with ultramarine blue and magenta for the shadow. On her lips, which are pretty dark. So we get a violet. Ultramarine blue and magenta. Bottom one goes around the lip and underneath. Maybe not that dark, huh? And it's watercolor, probably dry light. Eh. And then I'm going to come around with the same color, the ultramarine blue and magenta, and I'm going to hit it in there. And really smack it. Maybe that's a little too dark. Huh? I smacked it too hard. Alright. Unsmack it. And what I'm going to do is just add a little water and just move it around. It'll thin out and dry lighter. There we go. It gets a little darker right here, right next to the cast shadow edge. It's not that the shadow is actually darker, it's that this nose is lighter because of that reflected light that's coming in from the side. Little stuff happening as well. There's a top plane to the nose, which I just messed up. No problem. Just yeah, a little darker under here. And then it just gradually gets out here, and I just soften the edge. Water. Probably not that dark. It's watercolor, you know, sometimes you have to overstate it. She does get this peachy glow underneath her cheek too. Why didn't I see that? See a little bit of that under there. It's a little dark though, isn't it? Well, I just want something under there to give me that feeling of reflected light. Yep, and there's a lot more we could do. Let's see. Let's do the big things. I'm just going to chop in a whole bunch of shadows in here, because these could be really loose. Same shadow color I used in the face. Red, yellow, blue, just cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. Make sure it's dominated by red. See, so it makes me kind of a... See, I know that it'll go with the flesh tones because it's the same colors I used in the flesh tones. It's a no-brainer in a way because the same colors are in both colors. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh. I'm sorry. I just did these shadows. I didn't realize I didn't have her zoomed out. I just did these shadows really quick. Same colors as this. This one, and this. Pretty loose. Pretty loose. And as you can see, we don't have to finish everything. I mean, you know, a little detail here, you can let things go really loose in other areas. Hit some darks. Watch what happens, you know, it's as usual in watercolor, right? Smack those darks. I usually do the class at 11:30. What I'll do is let's go to 11:45 because this is a pretty complicated thing. I didn't think it would be this complicated. Sure, it's fun though. Whew. So I'm gonna hit some darks, dark shadows. I'm using the Prussian blue with a little bit of cad red. Dominating it with the blue. And all that's in shadow. Just a little bit of water in here. That'll fade it. What else? We got this split right here. Maybe I'll take a little bit of that skin color. And just pull that down into it. Couple little minor shadows in here. You can just shorthand those. Something dark in there. These shadows on her sleeves get a little darker, so I'm going to throw something in there. Just a darker version of the color that's already there. And I wanted to get a little bit of that skin color coming through, so a little bit of something warm. Again, we can keep that really not, you know, pretty loose. You know what I mean? In other words, you don't want this rendered out sleeve, which is all perfect, and then you have this unfinished face or something. You know, we go, nice sleeve. Is that supposed to be a portrait? Oh, nice sleeve anyway. Again, when you're painting for yourself, who cares, right? But you see how self-conscious I am because of all those jobs I did. Let it go, Rob. Oh my gosh, that's what portrait art, the jobs can do. Not always, you know. I mean, a lot of people just were very cool and let me do whatever I wanted to do. And I just remember thinking, this is why I chose this profession, because it's so great and I did it the way I wanted to. But that was not the norm. I did give her a pretty big shoulder, didn't I? Tell you what. Take a little water on it. It's going to be stubborn now. I think I just took it over there because because that's where I put my border. So what I would probably do is just crop it here. No, right in there somewhere. Keep that a little fuzzy. Okay. All right, Mr. Butterfly here. Whatever color you like. Some darks around the edges. Oh, I like the red. There we go. So if I wanted this to feel like it was maybe a little bit more light was hitting it on this side, I could just put a little light right there, tag it off, give it some fun edges, and that's all she wrote. I wonder where that saying comes from. That's all she wrote. Someone probably knows. I get people with the most trivial knowledge in my classes. It's great. And this is what I was talking about with the hair. Watch. I can just do some dry brushing. See, just some dry brushing. And it gives some direction to it. A little bit here and there. Just take it up. A little curly there. Just a darker version of whatever you're using for the shadow. Putting a little irregularity into that. And I'm really using a very loose line. I'm just doing this. You know, I'm actually just trying to break up the stagnicity of those lines in there. Is that a word? Stagnicity? It is now. Okay. That's a little dark, huh? Blue stuff, just accents. Oh, and I forgot the most important thing. If you guys have that rose color, wait, no, what's that color called? Opera. If you have opera, oh, that's not it. Yeah, there it is. I have a little bit of it left. Good old opera. Like I could almost just squirt that on there. If not, like I said, the magenta works just fine, but it's such a crazy pink. Then why not let's just get crazy? Well, that's a little too crazy, isn't it? Maybe it's not that crazy. I'll put that down for a light color, and then I'll come back in with magenta in the shadow of it. Ooh, even the magenta is not dark enough. If you can't get dark enough, add a touch of ultramarine blue to that magenta. There we go. Fun. Kind of abrupt, though, for such a neutral painting. I think I'm going to just take it down a notch. Ooh, that's kind of pretty like that. That's it. Good enough. Accents, accents. So fun. Way too fun. Maybe a couple of little designs. I always think of tapestries when I think of this kind of thing. Aren't tapestries great? That's what my family's known for. The family name, Gadjen, in Bruges, Belgium. The Belgium tapesters, you know? I guess. I don't know. I'd love to visit them and see. I wonder if they're still doing it, or who knows. My grandma went over there to visit them once, and she said, they don't like Americans much, Rob. So I've always been a little bit reluctant.
Bruges is it's so beautiful.
I know. I want to. Gosh.
Yes, still kind of they are selling as a souvenir.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I'd love to check it out.
Picturesque.
Yeah, I can imagine growing up in a place like that. See, maybe not though. Maybe because I've grown up in such a, and I would, luckily I didn't grow up in Pasadena. I grew up out in Riverside, where there's not a whole lot. But there were one thing nice is there's still a lot of land out there, even now. Where I'm from, which is out in Mockingbird Canyon, there's some nice things. But man, nothing as civilized as something like Bruges. Smack a couple of little darks in there. Hit them under there. Right under things. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to call it a little bit early. For all these pearls, you can just make sure you put your shadows on the right hand side. Just very light shadows. And it's all in shadow. And then the shadow underneath, right next to the pearl, is going to be pretty dark. I mean, not black or anything, but darker than you might think. So just little touches. Kind of reddish too. Yeah, I know it looks black up there, but they're actually pretty red. Oh boy, it never ends. Okay. Get a nice signature on there. Just like that. Sign it loud and sign it proud. Marie Antoinette. Okay. Okay, everybody. I know that was a lot. And there's definitely more I'd like to do on it, but I kind of like it. Go ahead and send those in. I'm going to change all my settings here. I gotta go take it out of HD. All right. Charlotte and Jane. Charlotte? Let's see. Oh, pretty.
Well, you know, I started doing a study of value on with pastels, and then I just kept going.
Yeah. Good. I know. How do you get all the soft edges?
Well, I have a brush and my fingers. And
See, I was wondering
stick.
if you're using a brush with it.
And a stick. I have a little. It's a little pastel. Those sticks that you're supposed to a stubber.
More color than you can shake a stick at, huh?
Probably too many. Well, you know, I will never in my lifetime be able to lay down a hard value like you did. It's just not.
I know.
I just can't do that for some reason. So I did the best I could with the shadow.
That's fine. I love it.
It works.
It's got a really loose, easy quality to it. It just feels very much like all your art. But interesting that now you didn't use any watercolor?
No, I started to, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I actually, gosh, you know what I was thinking about doing?
I don't do pastels, but I've just started to lately for some reason.
I don't know if you guys can see my video, but if you can, I was thinking about touching it up with some of these pencils. They're called Carbothello pencils. Anyway, they're by Stabilo.
Yeah,
but I was thinking about doing that.
You could touch it up with some pastel.
Sure could. Sure could take a little pastels to it. Yeah. And that's very in keeping with a lot of the great Rococo artists would touch up their watercolors with pastels or just do pastels. Watteau is famous for doing these beautiful chalk drawings highlighted in pastel. And anyway, he's just a wonderful artist.
Once I went to an artist that did pastels, and he did such beautiful colors, so I went to his class to find out how he did it.
Yeah.
And his answer was, just look and see the colors.
Yeah. But he didn't have a particular technique?
No, you just look and see, because she had red on her cheek there.
Yeah.
And then she had, blue in her hair.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look and see, I can see color. And then she had some orange on her, down at her, right there.
Yeah.
She had some kind of a reflected light there.
Yeah, the blue, I saw that. Yep.
And it's, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was fun. But like I said, I wanted to end up to do watercolor, but I ended up with this pastel lately for some reason.
Well, I think it's good that you just follow your gut.
Yeah, I think you make us push push us over the edge.
Oh, good.
That's why we keep coming back.
Cool. Yeah, I know. I know this was a pretty articulate one I did. I mean, not as articulate as I used to do on mural. I mean, on so, but I won't always be this tight. I just wanted, sort of wanted to show you like a. I mean, it's very in keeping to the time. You know, the period in time. I'm thinking Rococo is a very sort of academic. I mean, it comes out of that academic Baroque thing. There's still, even though it's a very free, loving sort of, what do they call that? Frolicking time. It seems like everybody in those paintings were always rolling around in the hay or something. But no, I mean it's still a very academical time. I don't know. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see. Jane. I hope there's more coming. Okay. Because we only have 2 so far, so. Hey, Jane, nice.
Thank you.
I mean, good patterns of lights and shadows. Nice colors. Let's see. Green background. Just joking.
I had a little trouble with her neck cords, you know. I just couldn't get them.
The neck?
Yeah, you know, down where those
tendons.
Cords come down. You know, under your neck. Those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? The best thing to do is just soften the edges.
Right. Okay.
Just keep them soft. You don't need to get really. It's not an area that needs a whole lot of definition.
Right. Right.
And if you put too much detail into it, oftentimes it just detracts. So, best thing to do is keep it simple, really simple. And I can see a little more light on this cheek. So if you want to pull something out or something, that might work.
Right.
This is like this. This is nice. I can see softening this edge right here. Because see how hard it is? It feels like a cast shadow edge. So it's really easy. Just come back, wet it, and then just soften it. Just work it a little bit.
Yeah, but if you look at the picture, what I loved about it was the that hard edge on her face.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Kind of a dramatic shift from light and shadow, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I think. What I did was I came back with a little bit of warm. That's too warm, but I mean a little bit of warm, and that'll give you a halftone. So you'll go light, halftone, and then shadow, and that will soften that edge. That's all you're doing. Yeah. And so you hit the warm right there. I can see it.
Right.
I can see a little bit of warm on the nose. That bridge is a little skinny.
I used warm several times, but I had too much blue in it, and it would turn into it still is kind of a gray blue instead of a warm.
That'll happen. Yep, you got to really clean the brush, really get it all out. Get all that stuff out when you need a pure color, yeah. And I could see probably putting a little bit of, taking a little bit of your shadow color in the hair, like these colors, and put them into the shadow part of this. Shadow. Right. Even though those shadows are pretty light, I'd still give them a little bit of shadow. And then they have that cool light in there, just a touch, like you have right here. And if you wanted to, you could even put a little bit of that cool light on your face. I don't know. It's up to you. It was catching a little bit, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much. Yeah. Okay, Ellen. Wow. Very light.
Yes.
I love that look on her face. She's
Yeah,
like,
she's like, yeah, just don't talk to me.
yeah, do what I say. I'm not in a great mood.
That's right, exactly.
You got the Rococo thing down. You got it very light. Love all the style. Look at the stylistic moves, everyone. Look at these. She just kind of comes in and she throws in a couple colors in the hair, a couple style moves, and she's out.
I think I need another to define her neck. I feel like it's not quite done. Yeah, right there, that area seems a little foggy. But I was really trying to get the colors to feel fresh. That's something sometimes I don't. I feel like my colors aren't fresh enough.
Yeah, just put them down one time.
Yeah.
Like they're really fresh up here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was working on quite a bit.
I would say your colors are pretty fresh in the face.
Okay. Good. A little muddy right there, though.
Yeah. Well, what I might do is a little bit of shading and on the right side of the eyes. Mm-hmm. I don't know, that blue's probably the wrong color. Probably something, Yeah. I don't have the right color, but a little bit of something over there. Mm-hmm. And right. I see that. And so that'll round that off a little bit.
Yes.
Look for something in there. I'm not sure. I look for some sort of half-tone shadow in there, and then, those can be done very fresh.
Right. Yeah.
Good value for the bright, reflected light. And we talked about a little bit of warmth in these halftones.
Yeah, you can quite get that in there. Yeah.
Those can be done very loose. Right. This area oftentimes gives people a problem. I would just keep it really simple, play it down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll hit all these hard edges in there, and it becomes, it looks like the person's, like, really tense. So.
Yeah, it draws attention to itself.
Yeah.
Which I don't want. Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Yep. I mean, I love this little burst of warm right there.
Yes.
Okay.
All on you.
Yeah, I wanted a little bit something in there. Yeah, the way you handled the clothes and all this is great.
Thank you.
Yeah, the butterfly looks great. I mean, so one thing is that you're really pulling attention into her eyes. So that's the place I would give maybe a little more attention. We didn't have a whole lot of time, but yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would like.
Yep, a little bit more in the eyes. Typically, the eyelashes will create a little bit of a shadow onto the ball of the eye, so look for it. Sometimes I put it in anyway, but it's probably there. Sometimes the lights will bleach it out, but I put it in.
Great. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
It was fun.
Yes, thank you. That was a good day. All right. Wow. Very, very light values. Working our way into the middle tones. Except for that red. That's what I always said wow about.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like that. There's too much. It's too much contrast, and that's the wrong color. I kept adding different colors to try to change it, and then I couldn't make it lighter, so it's just...
Well, actually, it's the value is so dark compared to everything else.
Yes.
So what I might do is just keep it, but lighten it up. And I had to do the same thing on mine, remember? I had to dab it.
I tried to lighten it up, but then I didn't like the color, so anyway.
Oh, I know. Okay, so there's this constant... the epic struggle of the painter. You'll always have that problem. And it is, what do I give up? What do I sacrifice? Do I sacrifice color or do I sacrifice value? Because I got to sacrifice one of them for this painting, So now you decided to sacrifice the value for the sake of the color. Whereas on mine, I sacrificed the color to get the value right.
Yeah.
So, every artist goes to, it's color and value. It's just will always haunt you. All right. So then I could see your shadows. Most of your shadows just being darker.
Okay. I have no idea what to do with the hair.
I mean, the shadows in the hair, I would just go a little bit darker. I would just take some, let's just say, I don't have the right color, but let's just say.
Well, I put yellow and blue, and then I put magenta, and I didn't know what to do with the hair, so.
I'll just use this color. No, I'll just use black. So, I would just use something. Let's just do this quick. Group it all. Because it's a ball, right? If the hair is basically one big ball, then all the things on this side are going to be in shadow.
Okay.
Yeah. Not this dark, though.
Yeah.
But, so.
I see. All right.
And then group them. And you can be really loose. Just also, look at the way everybody else is doing it, too. So you don't have to be tight with those shadows. Just group them, make them darker.
Okay.
And I think even in her face too, you got the pattern right. Mm-hmm. So now I might go a bit darker with the values. And group all that.
Okay, I see.
That's obviously too dark, but I would put a wash in there just like the way I did that, and then I'll come back and start taking stuff out.
Okay.
Maybe, adding a little bit of lighter blue to that if you like. Basically, the main critique of the whole thing is darker shadows. That's it. Really, your drawing's fine.
Okay.
I like the green eyes. Interesting. Just deeper and darker shadows.
Okay.
Really, you might want to look at it from far away and you see it kind of flattens out. So a little bit. I know the Rococo thing is light, but a little bit darker, I think will do it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's Joan. Hi, Joan.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah,
love it. Nice.
Thanks.
You even got that little blue glow. Yeah. Did you use a little white in there?
No, just.
I was going to say, it still would be a good move to use some white in there. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice colors, nice values. Yep, you got the way you did the hair and the shadows. See, it's nice and loose without a whole lot of information. You don't need a lot. The way you handle all this down here is just great. A little bit of, we could solve a little bit of this area in the nose. Is that giving you a little trouble? Looks like there's a little dark right next to her nose.
Well, I kept going over it, and
yeah.
So sometimes it's so quick that you don't have a chance to go back, or you don't know it until you see when you photograph it yourself, and then you photograph, then you see it.
I would just let it dry completely, and then go back into it.
Yeah, I gotta fix that butterfly.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Just draw into it and maybe give it a little bit of accents?
I don't know. It's just ugly.
Give it a French accent.
I don't want to overwork it because then it's what becomes the focal point.
Butterfly. Yeah. Exactly. Right now it does have a lot of contrast in it, so
I think I should lighten it.
Maybe lighten it. Yeah, I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah.
I could do the same on mine, actually. Yeah.
Too much.
I like that idea.
That's an interesting. That hair.
Yeah.
weird.
The hair? I know, is weird.
Yeah, yeah.
The big ball of...
Yeah.
The wig.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the wig, yeah.
Okay. And if anything, this eye on the right-hand side is a little close to the nose.
But, I kept looking at it. I actually moved because her eyes aren't really close. Her eyes are close together.
Yeah.
I think the other eye is kind of squinchy.
Squinchy. I like that word. Squinchy. Yeah, it's a little squinchy.
It needs to be opened up a little bit.
Yeah, compared to this eye over here, it's a little squinchy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's so fast. That
It doesn't, I mean, I don't know if there's anything you could do with that. I wouldn't spend too much time on it.
The thing that I get from you that I somebody else mentioned also is how putting that dark shadow on is so contrary to my inclinations.
Yeah.
When you go over everything with that dark.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to do that, but it's a good exercise because I see that it really does work.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and go for it.
I wind up doing 15 layers and the water gets all wet and it's just a mess. But
Yeah, you can do it that way too. It just takes longer, and make sure they're dry. Well, the problem is that people do it and it doesn't get dry underneath. Right. That's what creates the gook, the gooky mud.
But I like the blotting, putting it down and blotting it up. I think that works really well.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm definitely a blotter.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Joan.
Thanks.
And Debbie. All right. Nice drawing. Wow. I loved it. I love to see the drawing underneath too. By the way, in watercolor circles. Now I don't know about these transparent watercolor societies and whatever, but I'm talking about in I don't know, people that really understand and see watercolor for what it is. Remember our watercolor's roots. It was rooted in drawing. It was usually a drawing, sort of highlighted with color. And so, if you look at the early notes where all these artists were using watercolor as beautiful watercolors, but they really weren't meant for sale or anything. They were just notes for the artist. You can see the drawing, and they'll make a big deal out of it. So today, I mean, and these are some things that I was taught. Now, I wasn't taught how to do watercolor, but I was taught those things. Like for instance, like Richard Bunkle would look at my piece and he'd go, make a bigger issue out of the drawing. And he'd even tell me himself, he goes, Rob, I can't do it. I'm no good at watercolor. I doubt that personally, but he said, no, I'm not really a watercolorist at all. But I'll tell you something. Make a big issue out of the drawing. I mean, a really big issue. So I would really get in there with the drawing. So I'm glad you've really shown it off. Look at that. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Charles Reed.
Yeah.
He used lots of pencil shows in his paintings, and that's
sure thing.
who I liked first with figure painting. He was wonderful. So
he sure. I want to do one in the. Let's do that. I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to do something based on his sort of vein of teaching. Really loose, making issues out of what you're doing. Like you're doing watercolor, you're doing a drawing. Let's show off those qualities instead of covering them up, etc. So.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
It's a loose way of doing things. Charlotte has taken a lot of his classes, so.
Oh, she was lucky.
Yeah, we could use her input. Okay.
Sure.
It's a really nice piece. I love the warms and cools. I love the blues in there, in the flesh and the shadows. Those are great. You got a pretty good, loose, academical style here. I mean, your drawing's right on.
Okay.
So you're hitting some nice darks. I could maybe see a dark. I mean, I don't have much to say about this except nice. Maybe something back here.
Okay.
I look for these things, you know, maybe in there, maybe in there. Pop a couple darks here and there, but yeah, you got a good one right there. That's good. I wouldn't go that dark.
Okay.
This is plenty dark. Yeah.
All right.
One thing I try to do every once in a while, and I think Charles Reed makes a big deal out of this too, is maybe sneak a little warm, and you're doing it right here.
Okay.
Sneak something warm in that halftone right there, a little bit in there. I don't have a small enough.
Sure.
Yeah, that's about it.
I get it. All right,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Great butterfly. Look how loose you did that. Great. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Claudia.
I actually sent one. If you go up, it'll say use this one instead. Oh, right there. Yeah.
Rococo.
Yeah.
Ooh, you hit the darks in this one.
Well, no, actually, I was able to have time to scan it, and it's much better when I scan it than taking a picture.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of these new cameras on the phones, though, are just getting crazy.
Yeah, well, the camera is good, but it doesn't compare to scanning.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you have a very bold style. I mean, I see it in all your work. So, I love it. You just throw down a big wash, and then come back with a couple of little accents, and you're done. Love it. I mean, that's some bold watercolor there. And this is pretty big. How big is your painting?
It's a 10 by 14.
Yeah, 10 by 14. That's pretty big. Okay. Right, you did hit that little hot spot right there we were talking about? Good. This got a little dark on you, huh?
Yeah, I used a little gouache and then I scraped it, and that's why I had to send another one.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I mean, you could always, if it gets a, and you know, the gouache will dry a little bit dark. Sometimes. That's why when I put it on really with a lot of paint in it. So.
Yeah. Well, what happened when I put the shadow, it wasn't completely dry, so it kind of basically bled on the shadow, and then I had to go and put some wash in. So, and that was the problem.
Yeah. So I do your thing right there. I do a little bit in here, maybe maybe not that much, but and maybe a little bit in there, because those are the form shadow edges. You're already doing it here very nicely. See, it goes from highlight to midtone, sort of halftone, and then, if anything, I can see a little bit of shadow back here, probably. Maybe.
So you add more red to the cheek and the nose?
Yeah, the nose is fine. No, I wouldn't add any more red to the nose. The nose.
Okay.
Nose is fine.
So just a little bit under the on the cheekbone.
Yeah. And if you want to, you can even step this value up a little bit brighter with the white.
Okay.
Because, I think the gouache just dried dark on you.
Okay.
And that's about it. I mean, I guess if you wanted to, you could, since you have that white on there, you could hit a couple highlights in the hair.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
A little bit on the ends there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love to do that on mine too. It's a great way to get a little, you could even hit a couple up in here if you like, little accents.
Okay.
They can be really nice.
Yeah. Is there any way to make my butterfly a little looser? I think it's really tight. Maybe scrape it a little bit.
I think it's got too much contrast, just like mine. Okay. So I'm thinking maybe blot it.
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah, I'm going to do that with mine. I'm going to do it right now. I'm just going to put a little water on there and let it sit.
And then blot it like with a paper towel?
And just blot it. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me go back There's gay. Okay. Hey, nice light touch. Are these little shadows in the background? Or are they actually? Sometimes, like this almost feels like a shadow.
Okay, there's a second one I sent you.
Okay.
Because I have a little trouble keeping up.
It's okay. I know. Well, today was a lot to keep up. I think next week we're gonna let loose next week. Okay. Wow, look at all this color you got in the hair. Nice. Violets, kind of blue greens, yellows. Now, was it? Now, I think this is what you did is smart. You did the shadow light, and then you came back and doubled down a little bit on the core of the shadow right here, huh?
Yes.
That's a smart move. That's a good way to do it.
You know, I've been working since then, so about from her eye to the hair, I've darkened that up.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, did you add any blue into it, or?
Yes, I've got a purple into it.
Oh, okay. A little violet or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, the color isn't as important as the value, and you got good value. I would stay with the values. You're right. The value of this could be a little bit darker, but so whatever color you want to use, fine. Again, I might throw a little shadow on the right side of her eyeball, the white of the eye.
Okay.
That'll make it feel more round, and on the eyelid itself too.
Okay.
Make it feel a little more round. I might do a little of your thing right here. I might do a little bit of that right here. And then, again, with both of them, just hit a little heat in there. It'll warm her cheeks up.
Okay.
Maybe touch on her nose too. Just a little bit. And what else? Let me zoom out. Whoops. Alright. You know, I might put another tone in the background on the right-hand side.
And darken it up?
Yeah, not very much though.
Okay.
Just maybe the same color, just because it's so like light and dark. I could just see a little more, and keep it kind of painterly, you know, just like you did here with all these little. It's a small move, but I think it would help.
Okay.
And, you know, I might even soften the edges on these tendons in the neck. You know, I was taught that in school. I remember a teacher. I was having such a hard time with that area, and he told me just to soften those edges because it's not an area you really want attention to be brought to usually. So.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah, because of the hard edges and the high contrast, you know, just keep it a little lower contrast and softer edges.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, now let's see. Claudia, there's Joan, Ellen.
Oh, you did me already. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I mistakenly sent it twice.
That's okay. We've got there's Claudia. So am I on Betsy now?
I'm here.
I think so. Okay, I think I'm on Betsy. All right. All right. Ooh, pretty. Now you cropped in on her face more. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. It was really hard. I didn't enjoy this one.
Well, what was the problem?
I actually like my value study better than I like the finished painted.
Oh, yeah?
I had a lot of problems with her eyes, and I would like to have more fun with it. You know, I'm barely getting some color in there, but you know.
Yeah, I know. We'll have fun next week.
I struggle.
I mean, some days I want to push the academia. Some days I want to push style. Have fun. Next week, style week.
Okay.
We'll do. In other words, that's what I like about Charles Reed is it's a very loose way of doing things. So, basically everything we just did. He doesn't skimp on that, but he's just got a much more shorthand way of doing it. That's all. So you see a white over eye there?
Yeah, it's too white. Yeah.
So just put something over that. Maybe all this too.
Okay.
I think this goes into shadow a little bit. And let's see. Yeah, you got that one good. Okay, nice darks, and I like that you got the blue in your darks. I mean, you got some color in there. I think all this is just fine. Everything. I mean, one of the reasons her let's zoom in on this a little bit.
Yeah, her face is funny. I don't know what's wrong. Yeah.
Okay, what happens here is that you've got the shadow on top of the nose, and then you've got light coming from down below hitting the bottom of the nose. So the top goes into shadow. Can I hit this? Yeah. And so what we get is a little bit of a core. Like this right here. Because that's what happens when you've got light over here and light over here. You get that core in between. So what I would do is hit just a little bit of a core.
Okay.
And there's a little touch on top of her nose too, I think. And that'll make her nose look more three-dimensional.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like, see what you did down here?
Yeah.
And you can feel a little bit of light hitting in there. Because you don't want it as bright as the lights. So your value down here in the shadow is perfect. Just a little bit of a core in there, I think would do that.
Okay.
So that's about it. I mean, maybe a little bit of shadow caused by the eyelashes over the eye.
Yeah, that would help, definitely. The eyes are kind of bugging out. Yeah. So that helps a lot.
Oops. Okay. All right.
Okay,
good. Thank you. Oh yeah, there's a little light hitting the bottom lip. So if you want to, I mean that's an area I might just burn out a little bit there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Toby, ooh, light. Very light. What do you think, Toby? Oh, nice. You there? Maybe it's the what do you call it? The are you muted? No. We got a straight edge right here. So I would just looks like you did, but I would kind of break that up a little bit. And I love the light values. I might come in with a couple of dark things. They don't have to be really dark. Just a couple of dark things. And just to bring a little bit more focus into the eyes. You could leave all kinds of atmospheric stuff. Just for portraiture reasons, maybe pull us into the eyes a little bit. A couple of little darks back here. They don't have to be as dark as these, though. I think there was something dark in here. So all that brings interest into the eye area. So I don't know if you want that in there. I don't know if that's necessary. Top lip in shadow. Think about that possibly. Very subtle values. I might just come up with a subtle, like this shadow value you already have in there. A little bit more on the top lip. Okay. And that is about it. I love all the atmosphere. Love all the painterliness. think it all works for me. Nice color. Yeah. All right. That's about it.
Rob?
Yeah.
Sorry, had to step away for a second. Were you already finished with this?
Yeah, it's on the recording, but basically, I'll just go over it really quick. You got a hard edge there, so I might break that up a little bit, just a little bit in there, and very loose, light, atmospheric edges, which I like, and whoops. I was just saying maybe a little bit darker in here. Just a little touch. Just to bring a little bit more interest into the eye area. And that is about it. Mostly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's all I did.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Oh. Whoops. I gotta zoom in here a little bit more. Barbara. Oh boy. Did you get some white going on there? A little test for your
Oh, here I am.
Yeah.
My doctor just called, so I just got off the phone. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Just tell him he's gonna have to wait. Sorry, Doc, but this is painting time.
Yeah, good news too, so it was good.
Oh, that's good. All right. Yeah, since you're bringing in a little bit of white, I might lighten up that cheek a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the white in the hair, and I love all that. It's got a almost oil quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
But still maintaining a lot of watercolorish stuff. Let's see. Very light.
I darkened the yellow a little bit. I thought it was a little too bright, so.
In the face? Yeah.
No, in the hair.
In the hair?
And yeah, and also in the face, I put a little more red in the face.
That's good. Good. There's some good areas in there, in here, in there. Those are good areas for a little bit of pink. You could even put a little bit on this side, but it's very light. It's kind of a bleached out light.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like, maybe some more little darker shadow on the hair.
Okay.
On the right hand side, just take a little bit in there. Not that dark, but
no.
Just because it's not really separating as light and shadow. I think just a little bit of a value over on this shadow side would give you the feeling.
Oh, okay.
Not much. It won't take much at all.
What should I do it with? A blue or a sort of the lavender sort of?
Well, it does have a lot of this blue in it, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. Mm-hmm. So maybe just darken it with the blue a bit.
Let's see. There's some blue. Well, that would be really rococo too.
Oh, cool.
And that's a lot of blue, but if it's too much for you, what'll happen is even if you do put blue down there, all these colors are going to come through it, which means it won't be totally blue. But this color you're using right here, it's so rococo, that the Prussian blue or something.
Yes.
That, and I might even throw a touch of magenta in with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would do.
All right.
All right. I think that's it.
Okay,
thank you much. All right. Okay. All right, Gail. Good shadow shape there. Look at that. Are you there, Gail? There you are.
Had a lot of trouble with the darks in the face. I was almost scrubbing it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's how you learn. You got to get in there and just do it. You're going to mess up paintings. I remember a teacher telling me once, on my watercolors too, and I really messed up on it. He said, you want to show all that. It shows the process. You want to show the, like some artists will just leave the tears in their paper too, and the messed up drawing. And you want to show the process. So I know it sounds a little counterintuitive, but showing the process off is a very sort of modern idea. You wouldn't have wanted to do that in classic times, generally. But it doesn't look bad at all. In fact, I was just showing a class the other day there's a book called Breaking the Rules of Watercolor, where the first thing they do is they rub all over the paper and get this look. It gets this look you're getting right here, this sort of residue look. So it's funny. The first thing to do is mess up the paper, so you get all kinds of little screw ups on there, and then you mess up so much it becomes a kind of a look. So, but the thing I would do is come in your background now with something a little bit cooler.
Yeah, definitely.
So it doesn't, because right now it's the same as your face.
I know.
So, and I just mean a little bit. It doesn't have to, like, see how you glaze this color over here like this? Something like that, but maybe lighter. So you have a cool over here, and you could use a series of colors, like maybe these 3 colors. Put it over there, and so it's not too dark, but it'll give you a little shift in the color, so the face and the background don't look so much the same. And then I'd maybe even take those same colors into the right hand side of the hair.
Okay.
So let's say you've got them over here, okay, and then maybe take some of those over here too. So now you're using a series of cool colors to set off the light part of the face over here, and then in the hair, they won't look the same at all. They won't look the same because what's underneath them both is different. And then you use this shadow to separate the hair from the background.
All right.
It'll work. Scout's Honor. Okay, let's see. Let me zoom into this thing a little bit. And I think I would a little shadow on the eyes on the right hand side, and even the eyelid too. Leave it light on this side where it bows and turns into the light, but on this side have it go into the shadow. Just like I've been saying, a little bit of red, a little touch of red in there, a little touch of red in there, and maybe on the bottom lip a little bit of highlight.
Okay.
A little bit of something light, maybe I should have just stuck with that red. A little lighter. I got hot pink.
Okay.
So, and then if you like, I know it's a little brighter back here. So if you wanted to pull that off and add a little bit of something cool to it, you could. It'll work. I mean, you'll scrub into it, but it's a lesson,
All right.
You know what I mean? They're not meant to be. They're meant to be learning steps. You learn and then you grow from that. You'll do your best work probably on your own.
We have some seniors yet.
So other classes. So. Okie dokie.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. All right. Whoa. Did I miss anyone? Mitsuko.
I haven't.
Bounce right over you. Wow. I love it. I love it. Look at that.
Oh, you love it? I'm glad. I try to do as, not thick way. I tend to use watercolor really thick.
Yeah.
But at the end, I did some contours in pencil and in pastel so that feel like a free lines, like a freedom from
Beautiful.
the pictures.
I like the drawing back into it. It's great. Using some white in there, great.
Yes, I
wow.
did some.
Look how that shadow underneath the pearls really elevates them off the surface. Wow. Drawing back into things in here, love it. You got a lot of style. A lot of style in this one. And the line makes it. No question that the line is what's now, without the line, can you all see how the hair and a lot of these values would just melt into the background? So
yes, a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. So you come back and just save it with the line. I mean, it's.
Yeah, but the line is very, I don't know, just freely, just draw the lines.
Yeah.
Not like the pictures.
Now, if I were to say anything, really, I mean, I could say maybe with some of these forms, even though your line may be hitting a little bit of shadow on the right-hand side of some of those, maybe up here.
More.
Yeah, just to get a little bit more of a sense of form. Maybe even in here too. We'll see how that dries. On the right-hand side of her eyeball.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
In the white, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then if you want a little more saturation in her face, just a little bit of warmth.
Yeah, that's what I actually forgot.
Yeah. But this one feels, I mean, it's funny how it really feels, it's got a French feeling to it. It really does.
Oh, thank you. I try to keep like Rococo feeling, but
yeah,
at the end I just wanted to put like modern feeling by using the line.
Yep. Yeah. If you guys are interested, maybe just go online and look at Rococo paintings. Yeah. They're really fun. They'll make you blush and laugh because they're fun and they're just people like being people. So anyway, it's some lady dressed up in all of her dress on a swing, and Prince Charming, back of her. They're saccharine paintings. Okay. Very nice. Love it. Besides that, I think I just love the drawing back into. We're going to do more of that. I want to go that direction, definitely. So, okay, everybody. Did I miss anyone? Let's see.
Me.
Who did I miss?
Me. Claire.
Claire, where are you? Oh, way down there. How did I jump over you?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With ease.
How do I do that? Probably when I skip over people when people send me more than one. Okay. Good exercise in modeling of form. So you see how you're setting, I can see this, you're setting up your egg shape, putting down your shadows. And then what happens sometimes is that it dries.
Yeah.
It dries too fast for you to soften some of these edges, like let's say here, like in here, and in here, and in here, and that's actually it's a pretty fast turn there, so I think you're okay. What I would do is just soften those edges first, because it doesn't have a whole lot of color in it. So soften the edges first, just with water. And get a nice soft edge. then I think maybe I would wait for it to dry. And then come in with little slips of warmth in these areas, in these halftone areas.
Okay.
I think that'll really add a little bit of life. I always say, put a little blood in her face, you know.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. Those are the things I say to myself. Rob, it needs a little blood in the face, so that's when I hit my warms. I think the iris here could be a little bit darker.
Okay.
And the pupil could be a little bit darker, and then same over here. And then I think a little bit more shadow.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more shadow over here. Not that dark, but okay. Maybe a little more shadow on the shadow side of her hair. All this. And shadow on the right-hand side of these cylinders. Think of these curls as just cylinders. A little shadow on those sides.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
I know. Maybe even a little shadow here next to her face a touch.
Okay.
Just a little bit in there. Well, I mean, you know, I think you're doing a lot of things very correct. Your values on the face look great.
Okay.
Here too, I would soften that edge too.
Okay.
I could see. Now that would be, you know, these would be where I'd hit the warms. If you wanted to throw in some cool, you could always
Yeah, I see.
just take a little bit of this color, that Prussian, and throw that in there. Now, if that makes it too dark, maybe take up a little bit more of this, and then introduce that faint blue in there, you know.
Yeah.
And that'll give you a nice variety of colors in the flesh.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And all right. Did I miss anyone?
I think I sent you, Susan. I think I sent you something. I'm having a little trouble with my system talking to me too much.
Oh, when did you send it just now?
Yeah, just like 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
But my system, like I'm saying, I'm having some.
Oh, okay.
Might be time for me to get a new computer.
Let me redo mine. There you are. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I know about the new computer thing. I went and got one, and I am very happy with what I have. So.
Yeah. Oh, good. I like being encouraged that way.
Yeah. Are you a Mac? Do you do Macs or do you PC? Okay. Yeah. I mean, it'll cost you. Get a new Mac, but if you get a Mac, you know, it'll cost you an arm and a leg, but they're really good computers.
Yeah, no, I've been working on them from, you know, since I started working on them, which was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Early 90s, but I try to switch out as seldom as possible.
Yeah. Yep, they're good. Okay. Nice colors, nice values, nice edges. And maybe these edges right here in the neck could be softer.
Yeah. Okay.
And really nice colors. I love your. I mean, you got the yellow background, the red in her flesh, and the blue in her. So it gives us a lot of eye candy. And then let's see here.
I really got lost in her face at one point, and it wasn't until I unleashed that Prussian blue around it that things get better.
Yeah, it is absolutely true that surrounding colors affect the colors within. Sure.
Yeah, it really brightened it up a lot to add that.
Well, what do you think about adding a little bit of cool in here?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
And it's a little lighter and a little cooler, so I could see maybe something like that in there. Right here, I mean, I do the same thing. Your values in here are already light enough, so if you came back with a little bit of, just a little bit of your color right here, this Prussian would probably do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that, or if you have an aqua or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would think about that in there.
That really starts to make it pull together, which was driving me nuts. I couldn't get it to read as a whole.
Yeah. So let's see.
And I got to darken what would it be, the left side of her mouth, so it's not so flat.
Yeah, and the bottom lip will probably pick up more light.
Okay, so do the upper lip more.
Now you could either make the upper lip darker, but I think I'd make the bottom lip lighter.
Okay.
So.
Put a little. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That might be too bright, but yeah. Maybe a little highlight or something. But a little something lighter in there, I think would. Maybe just that light would be fine. And then if you like, I might think about popping some darks. This is a good dark right here. But sometimes you get them in the back of the neck, areas like that. They can really do a lot. So look for those and ask yourself if you need them or not. And I think we're looking pretty good up to now. Let's see.
Hey, thanks a lot. I thought it was irretrievable for a long time, and like I said, as a whole, and I think the background could probably have something happen too to balance.
Maybe a little cooler, maybe a little darker on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
If you do that, then you might need a little bit more on the right side. So check. I do the left side first, and then see.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome. All right. Let's see now. That's it, right? Does anyone else? Okay. Okay, everybody. So with that, here I'll stop the sharing. What I'll do is next week. I'm sorry. I'll get this up on YouTube, and I'll just give you guys the link. All right, and then and I'll give you this one too. So. And then, so that'll be 2 recordings. And then, so you'll get the whole thing. It's just in different pieces. You'll like the YouTube thing too. You'll like that. It's much clearer. So then, and then the other thing is, next week, think Charles Reid. Okay, you might want to look up some of his work. Just Charles Reid. It's R-E-I-D, and look up his work. You'll see it all over the net. And he's just a really loose watercolor painter, and everybody loved him. And I think he's great. I think his work is fantastic. So we'll work in the spirit of that. Not exactly like that, but in that sort of spirit. I wouldn't mind including maybe drawing with the brush a little bit, and maybe even accenting things with a little bit of line work. So we could actually do our initial drawing with the brush, possibly. We'll see. It's loose painting, so we'll have a blast. All right. That's about it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.
Rob.
Thank you.
Another great lesson.
Awesome. All right, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great Thursday. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Let's see. I got this. We're going to make this smaller. You, and you. Now. You. Do. And I want to take 1, 2, oops, keep it. Oh. Whoa. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm not. Thank you. All right, Diana. Bring. Let's do it.
All right.
With the economy.
Yeah.
That's the. I mean. Magenta and lemon yellow.
Okay.
Either lemon yellow or tad yellow, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's a little dark. With some water, get some little. Here. Now I'm zooming out. What the fuck was that? Why did it even Oh, it said it was 2 gigabytes.